This looks so beautiful.
Yes, it is, Silver. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to a true god among us.
You're that guy, pal. Trust me. You're that guy.
For the creation of, without question, the best piece of fan game creation in the Sonic community. That's an opinion, by the way. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of everything P06 does that makes it superior in every way compared to the original game. Nah. Today, I finally have the opportunity to truly play the great stages that 06 gave to us, because at the end of the day, the terrible state of 06 had nothing to do with the stages. The unworkable gameplay made the stages unplayable to begin with. This wasn't the mid-2010s. We were still a decade away from the inferior stage designer forces. When it comes to stage design, we're still in the adventure feeling era. And now we finally have a fixed version of 06, so we can showcase the stages in all of their glory. Counting out the end of the world stage, there are 9 stages in total, with different versions for the 3 main characters of the game: Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. We're going to start with the Sonic stages first, followed by Shadow's, and then Silver's, whose update for P06 was only released quite recently. Now let's go see what these stages are all about. Number 9, the Tropical Jungle. Okay, so the Princess Elise stages, where you have to carry her through the level, they're nothing bad, even if the bounce bracelet can't be used in these. But it's a standard case of, well, one of these stages have got to be rock bottom, and I ended up enjoying this one the least when playing as Sonic. There's 2 parts to this level. The first is you running through the top layers of the forest, which involves you using these plants once they've brightened up to sprint yourself to the next part of the stage. There's a pretty nice shortcut you can take using these, and it's one of those high risk, high reward shortcuts, because you got a homing chain through enemies to complete it. The second part involves using Elise's fire shield to travel across the water to the finish. And this isn't just some random power, by the way. Elise has the flames of disaster, Iblis, sealed away in her. So from a story perspective, it makes sense for her to have this, I guess. Anyway, but why is this stage at the bottom? Like I said, I just didn't have as much fun with this stage, and whilst the environment is beautiful, I feel like the stage design did have to be toned back a bit because of the Elise mechanic. Which again makes sense because you're not going as fast in these levels. I think a main reason though is because the water part of the stage is incredibly short. You're done with this part in like 20 to 30 seconds, which kinda caught me out when I got to the finish. Number 8, Crisis City. I can say without a doubt that me not liking Sonic's version is the difference in gameplay, or in this case the lack of the speed up sections in the Shadow and Silver versions. So these sections have definitely been tuned up in P06. You can actually move whilst jumping, and you just have better control in general. Did you see that? That lightspeed dash. Well, basically, if you don't hit that dash,
You will die.
roasted by the fire tornado right behind you. And I didn't do my research here, and it cost me the S rank on this stage multiple times. To be fair, this is the only reason Sonic's Crisis City is this low down. I just felt screwed over here. The rest of the stage is awesome. Boarding through the destroyed city as it explodes around you before you grind across these rails just above the lava below. There are multiple different ways to get you back onto ground level before speeding through the city, destroying Iblis's monsters along the way. It's a very well done stage in terms of letting you know this is the future and it is But again, the cheap way of losing your S rank if you had no idea about this light dash at the end, yeah, the stage deserves to be this low down for that alone. Number 7, Wave Ocean, a very solid introduction stage. Maybe not as memorable as the likes of Emerald Coast or City Escape, but still good regardless. It's also the perfect introduction to the new mechanics Chaos X has introduced in P06. Most notably in this stage, these wind circles which make your time skidding on the waves so much quicker. You grind in a lighthouse of all things before having the option to light dash and take a pretty OP shortcut, tearing through the enemies on the beach, and all of a sudden, the whale from Adventure 1 is back. And Sonic has had enough of these antics, trying to tame it like it's a Minecraft horse. But the idiot forgot the damn satchel, so now Tails has got to come save his best friend, flying across the sea to the next beach and activating the switch for Sonic to advance to the next part of the stage. Also, side note, I love how Chaos has added Tails' spin attack from Adventure 1. Now you have an alternative way of attacking instead of just throwing bombs all willy-nilly. So we have the speed up section, the first one in 06, and unlike Crisis City, there's no cheap death here, so this section gets higher marks straight away because of that. This is probably my favourite of the 4 speed up sections in this game, probably because it's the easiest, but also because the music is a banger here. So yeah, a solid stage introducing a good amount of Sonic's mechanics in this game. Nothing too special though. Number 6, the Dusty Desert, the other Elise stage in the game. And it's a step up from Tropical Jungle in my opinion. For starters, Elise's shield is fully utilised in this stage, with it being needed throughout the whole level, unlike in the jungle where it's only used for the second part of the stage. So it actually feels integral here instead of like a back thought. You kick through enemies and use Elise's shield to travel across the quicksand, before running along the desert ruins, where after literally tearing through hordes of robots you find yourself at these annoying platforms. Really shouldn't have had as much trouble with these as I did. Pretty sure there's actually a really OP shortcut you can take to skip all of this though. Yeah, it's pretty good, mainly because it doesn't outstay its welcome. The second part of Tropical Jungle just felt like it was there cause Sega wanted to incorporate Elise's shield into it. Here it feels more organic and just better structured. Definitely not my favourite Sonic stage here, but it can be fun. Number 5, the Radical Train.
Oh come on, who can forget the Radical Train?
I don't like being pressured to complete something in a game, hence why I've never really enjoyed time challenges or anything along those lines, unless it's well executed, so thankfully it's well executed here. You're literally racing Eggman's train to stop it from crashing into bombs and exploding, with Elise on it. I thought he needed her for uncovering and learning more about the Flames of Disaster. Why is he trying to kill her here? Anyway, the music and the high risks just blend so well together, as you blast through enemies and jump above platforms and run on conveyor belts to get to the switches and blow the bombs up before the train can reach them. I really like how Chaos X has actually made these into actual old switches. Once you've grind railed across train tracks and hit that final switch, it's time to speed up. Probably my second favourite out of the 4 speed sections, again because it's one of the easier ones. After avoiding trains blocking your way, you're running along the tracks and avoiding the exploding carriages of the train. Again, why did Eggman stick Elise in a literal death trap? Because of the fact that you're more or less racing the entire time. The stage is one of the shortest in the game, but after going through Flame Core, you kind of need something a little different, a little quicker to get through. Speaking of, number 4, the Flame Core. I mean the stage design. It's a volcano, so after some cool loop-de-loops, you've got to avoid the lava that shoots up from that fiery ground, then traverse through the fire pit to get to the high ground where a horde of enemies are waiting for you, jumping through rivers of lava like it's Anakin vs Obi-Wan and Mustafar, traversing through the crumbling ground and then... Let's head into the volcano! Wait, what?
No! Why would we do that?
That's a great idea.
Why? The database can't be in there.
Because it's time to die.
Now you're in the cavern of the volcano, taking on more of Iblis's monsters, whilst using these weird stones to light your way. Eventually you'll come across Knuckles. And remember, this is P06, so he's actually fun to play with now. Punching your way through enemies as you light up these orbs to open a cavern wall for Sonic, before avoiding the shooting lava to the deepest part of the volcano, where Iblis would be awaiting for you in the original 06. It's a stage full of tension, and the music just adds to that.
Wiggle my finger, you know, maybe I even stand up and hit a little boogie with it.
Overall a very fun stage, just be careful at the end though. You hit any of these fire pits, you will be finishing the stage with no rings to your name. Number 3, Kingdom Valley. I'd like to say this is the first stage that comes to mind for most people when this game is mentioned, considering how this was the stage used during 06's original E3 showcase.
Silver, we don't have time. Let's get to Elise right away. Alright.
You're that guy, pal. Trust me.
These cutscenes that Chaos, Sonic Pro, and the rest of the team have added to the game just bring so much life into this masterpiece of a remake. Anyway, you start by running along the valley road or grinding on its rails. Later down the road, the damn bridge explodes like it's Dragon Canyon, and now you have the choice of going left or right through the valley, both sides having their own enemies to deal with. At the end of the valley, Braviary will swoop up and take you to the inner areas of the old castle. This segment is why Kingdom Valley took over Flame Core on the list. Okay, look, when we get to the silver stages later down the line, we will talk more about his improved gameplay, but holy hell guys, he's a completely different character here. The gameplay on the screen should explain that. If it wasn't for how overpowered Shadow can be in this game, Silver would be my favourite character in P06. You play Silver to get through these old castle ruins before switching back to Sonic to speed on top of the old buildings, springboard on ropes like he's Ricochet, riding along the wind as if he's the knight of it, all leading to this awesome cutscene.
That's a lot of enemies. Sonic. Silver, it's all yours.
Finally, there's the last speed section of the game. Definitely a challenge this one as you jump across and even on the waterfall. But if you time your jumps and movement right, you should be okay here. I do love how much more amazing this part of the stage looks now. Chaos and team even made it rain in this section, which overall just makes it look more beautiful to me. That's this stage in a nutshell. Beautiful, and works as a fantastic penultimate stage for Sonic before his true Magnum Abyss. But before that, we gotta go over White Acropolis, aka Eggman's base. This has to have been a good stage to be put above Kingdom Valley. Yeah, absolutely. Starting off by snowboarding down the mountain with ramps to trick off and enemies to dodge. Eventually further down the mountain, a giant snowball will begin to chase you. Caution about this, move your analog stick down when the camera changes view, otherwise you'll be riding straight into that ball of snow. The section ends with one last mega jump that actually works here, unlike in the original, before you speed straight into Eggman's base. You reach these icy mountains next, which Tails needs to fly through whilst avoiding all these headlights. And thank God for the added context here. After flipping the switch, instead of just going back to Sonic like in the original 06, it shows a door opening for him to go through to actually reach Tails at the other side. This one little thing does wonders to my investment in this stage. Finally, you gotta find a way to get into the interior of the Doctor's base, grinding on rails and defeating any enemies that come your way. Compared to Flame Core and Kingdom Valley, White Acropolis is a much less complicated stage. I don't know, it's just got this weird charm about it to me. Kinda like Graffiti City in Racing Transformed. It just all clicks. Like, I never fail to have a fun time when playing this stage. And when that happens, it should always be high up on the list. Okay, now back to that Magnum Abyss. Aquatic Base.
This underwater?
What? Are you serious? Are you serious? Look at that! Look at this, you idiot!
What?
It really does sound like that too, like one of those like old-timey cartoon characters.
Was my picnic basket on the wall?
This is my favourite Sonic stage in P06. I like to think of this as a final gauntlet, in which you'll be going up against every single robot that Eggman has created for you in this game. It's alright, we've got that Sonic Heroes power of teamwork mechanic here, because Tails and Knuckles accompany you here. You run through all these corridors whilst avoiding all these lasers, opening up different rooms, some with these weird balls, others with these weird panels which just draws all the enemies in, giving you massive additions to your score, giant rooms with gaps of endless darkness which Tails needs to fly over, tons and tons of enemy hordes to destroy and go through, this weird running on the ball which has been completely redeemed in this game, and not only does Tails get his time in the spotlight, so does Knuckles, slashing through any enemies that come his way as he looks for the switch to deactivate the lasers to allow Sonic to pass through, reaching the end of the stage where the whole base is just shutting down, Eggman throwing everything possible at Sonic & Co. As the red lights start to come on, the alarm wailing around the base, every enemy he's created coming at you, just for you to smash through them all on your way to the exits. I bloody love this stage, man. So much action, some awesome platforming, due to the fact that we're playing P06 and not the original, obviously. God, this is what you guys have been missing out on for 17 years. Even the bottom of the list, Tropical Jungle, is still a good stage to play. Such a difference compared to Sonic Forces, where if it wasn't for the shadow stages in that game, I'd probably just hate the modern stages in general. The classic stages, less said about them the better. The Avatar stages, I still gotta make a video on those. Well, that reaction alone should give you an idea of what I think about them. But it's cool, I've got Sonic P06 here to lick my wounds from playing that game. We still got Shadow and Silver stages to come up in the future, and I cannot wait to share more of this game's goodness.